Good evening friends, and in this video we are going to discuss about the state variables. State variables are simply just like the variables, and because if you see properly the style of the application, this is actually the web application. So the state means, suppose if you want a variable to hold certain values, and that value, that the content of that variable is called as state. So suppose if I just write here is as 45, so this is the age of a person and that is 45. Now I want to print it somewhere, so suppose I want to print here, and the age is, then how will you print? So you have to print this dot state dot name, sorry, this dot state dot age, because this is age. Now just refresh it, so you see the age is 45. Now suppose if this state changes depending on certain event, like suppose if you have a button or something, or by any event, like if you want to change the variable, then dynamically the content should also change. Now how we can achieve that? So simply I create one button here, and then I write this button, and if anyone clicks on this button, is change. Okay, so it goes like this, is change. Now I save it, and then I see, you see this content button is age, but if you click here nothing will happen because I have not added any event to this. So I want this button to be clicked. When it is clicked, then the state change. So I write on click equals, then in the curly bracket you have to write the name of a function, and that function is going to change the state of this variable. So I write this dot is manipulator. So this is my function is dot manipulator, but it has not been defined yet. I have to define it, so I define it here. So I write is manipulator, and okay, so I use the fat arrow, so JSX style of representation. Then here this is the function, and inside this function I want to change the state of the variable. For that you have to use the one inbuilt method. This is called as this dot set state, then in parenthesis, and then in the curly bracket I change the age as like suppose if I say that the whenever the button is clicked, then the age will be incremented by 5. So I write this dot state dot age plus 5. So done. Now I save, and then I run the code again. So you see, now this is becoming 50. See, dynamically it is changing 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, to keep on pressing. Every time you click, the state of this one will change because the age will incremented by this much. Now if you want to take it in a more elegant way, suppose if I say that along with the age some more variable you have, like the name something, so you don't have to worry. Here only there you have written state, so I write age, and then I write address, just any random thing, you can use whatever you feel like. So here this is first, it is empty, and okay, so now I need to provide a comma here. So the address first is empty, and when the button is clicked, then is, sorry, address changes to this dot Oh, okay, I just simply write address changes to 56 R Street. Okay, so this is the A's address. So because this is asking you to change the address, so I write this dot state dot address plus, so it will be concatenated with this and then it will change. So address, okay, here. So now here I change this address also, let me add, and my address is this dot state dot address. So what will happen that initially when you display, why this is red sign is showing, comma, it is looking for comma, okay, so the comma was missing, so now I think it's better. So when it is running first time, then the address will be blank, because here I see I have not put any address, it is blank. Or for understanding I just type default address. Okay, so when it is displayed, it will have this default address. Now see, this is default address is there and the age is 45. If I click on this button, then both age will be incremented by 5 and this default address will also be changed to something else, and every time it will be concatenated. So now right now it is 54 R Street, because this 54 R Street will every time will be added to the whatever the address at present. So right now if I do it again, it will become the 2 times 54 R Street. Now see, you are getting 2 times. If I keep on adding again, it will become 3 times together. So 1 time for this and this is 3 times. So because it is getting concatenated over and over again, and at the same time state is also changing. So state initially was a default address, now next time is concatenated and became default address plus 54 R Street, and then these two again added with the 54 R Street. So this keeps on happening. So this is called the state variable. So if I say that suppose I want to change the very same thing as a counter, like suppose if I use a counter variable, counter, and initially the counter is set to 0, and then these two things, by every click the counter will be incremented by 2. So counter is this dot state dot counter plus 2, and then I can put this counter on the button only. So this part right now is not required, and oh sorry, okay, so here the text on the button I write this as this dot state dot counter. So initially it is 0, and then to identify this I add little text also, the count value. So save it and then refresh the browser, or some error is where this is saying age manipulator. Okay, so some function change has happened. So where this is arrow manipulator, this arrow starts here and this arrow closes there. Oh, this equal thing is not needed, we need this. Okay, so let me save this one, and if it is correct then yes, no error. So I refresh the web browser again, and there you see the counter value 0. So if I keep on incrementing, this keeps on becoming to this. incremented by 2. So this is in the same times. If I say that I want to change this value, so by decrease functions you have to add another button, and there, okay, so I simply copy and paste and I add one more count value, or you can say decrease count by 2, and this is the age manipulator. I just name it as age manipulator 1, and I simply this copy and paste it just below this, and I name it as age manipulator 1, and this time the value will be decreases by 2. So save the file and run the application again. So we need to see two buttons. Where is one? It's coming, it's getting refreshed. So increment will increment this value by 2, and the decrement will just decrease value by 2. So it is taking a little time, so I can save and refresh. Okay, is it coming? No. So I simply stop this terminal. I think it might have logged me out, so I create a new terminal again, and there I have to go into my folder, that is test trick. So there, cd react trick, and then I type npm start. So server will restart again, and then we'll see. Okay, so button click, two buttons we have, button on click. The function name I have just copied and paste, so I made it as the age manipulator and age manipulator 1. So age manipulator 1 is defined here again. You see age manipulator 1, and it is defined in such a way that the state variable counter decreases value by 2, and the age manipulator function has been defined so as its value increases by 2. Okay, so this is fine. Now let's see why it is delaying. Sometimes the PC looks awfully slow. So it is still. I remove this from the browser. Let the script run, and then I can. It will just send me the link with the localhost 3000, and if I click it there, I can directly go from here to there. So starting the development server. Okay, so this is automatically starting. Just few 5 seconds more, and then you will find it is coming. Come on. So actually the processing capacity, the processor of my machine is very old. It's not that noisy. Yes, so counter value both it is 0. So now if you click on this, it will increase by 2. but since I have not made much changes, so that's why both these values are increasing simultaneously. Because if you keep on clicking this one, then the state count value will increase by 2, and if I click on this, so both of them will decrease simultaneously. So this is the purpose of the state means you can have certain variables where you want to create some informations, and then depending on certain event you want to make certain changes into them. So this is called the state of a class component. And the basic difference between these two, the functional component and the class component, is this state. Because the functional components dynamically, they do not have any state, they are called the stateless components, and the class components are called as stateful component because they have state. So now in the next video we will learn about some other important concept of the React. So till now, have a nice time, and then keep practicing with us. Subscribe, don't forget to subscribe our channel. Thank you very much.